Okay, so some winning tips and a wrap up. Don't aim for yes, aim for connection. As I said, this is not a sales call. It's to really build relationships. And if they do an objection, you sing inside of you because it's got opening to talk. Track every call. Progress matters more than perfection. Have your list of phone calls. Make sure, yes, I've done 10 calls today. I had all no's, but that's fine. I made the 10 phone calls. I did stick to my time. Smile while you call. It does change your tone, definitely. And keep it simple. There's your line, Susie. My line is quick, easy, sustainable. That is very important. If it's quick and easy, then it is sustainable. It's a numbers game. It's really a numbers game. I found out when I did the estate agent, I had to do about 10 calls to maybe get somebody just to listen to me in the beginning. And then you get better and better and better. It's a numbers game. We in this beautiful era that we live in now, imagine you had to go and sell encyclopedias and knock on doors. No, you can just call. Stay consistent. Consistency, consistency, consistency. If you make a commitment to call every Monday morning, stick to that. People don't know who you're going to phone, but it helps you to stay. Don't call on a Monday or a Friday. People are still gathering themselves on a Monday, and Fridays they're not interested. I found, regardless of who I phoned and for what I phoned, Mondays and Fridays were never good days to phone. And it just breaks your morality to do that. So really don't do that. Hey, my challenge to everybody is to make 5 calls this week and track. And the other thing is, what is the one thing that you will do differently? And then here are some gems. My sales script again. Hi, I am Nell from ABC Estate Agent. Is it a good time to talk? Here is your things. You go onto Canva or whatever, and you do these little things, and it's branded. It always looks the same. You will send a WhatsApp. Thank you for taking my call today. Nell van der Loo is my name and that. No email address. Maybe you can have your website on there that they can check. Next week, I'm sending one out. Tip for the day. Building relationships and not selling. Thank you for doing the cold calls course today.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to just highlight some ahas. That building a relationship, I think, was completely key. If you stop talking at cold calling and call it a relationship building call, building a new community, finding new contact, and then your to-do, go back to Renee's Trello tutorial and put it into your Trello to-do list and schedule that little spot every week, whenever, to do those relationship building calls. And then write yourself a script. I think that was very important, just to start working with, and then that becomes a habit. That consistency, that repetition, it then will become very natural to you. And my big one that I want you all to take note of, that we often take so personally and that we allow to derail us, is objections. Objections are gems. So thank you for making that point now. Whenever you get an objection, it's an opportunity for you to either rephrase, to take the conversation in around the back door. There are so many ways to use an objection to build the relationship. And then follow up. We try once and then we give up because of rejection, or because we think new leads are better than following up with old leads. People, follow up is key. That example that Nell gave of 80% of the calls was actually core sales training tip, is that after 5 to 8 connections, it's a Microsoft study actually, after 5 to 8 connections is when people start paying attention. We are very fortunate, as Nell said, we are not door-to-door knocking. We now have social media, we have WhatsApp, we have so many different channels and touch points to take somebody on that journey from that first contact. That follow-up is absolutely critical to get people to know, like, and trust you enough to buy. You mentioned at the beginning where you've got to identify gatekeepers. Where do you find that information?
So it depends on who you, when I was doing cold calling for my husband's for appointments, I know a sales manager does have a secretary. I know that the secretary is the gatekeeper. So my first call would be to the switchboard and say, who is Mr. Jones' secretary? That was it. The next time I call, I say, hi, this is Nell from AR Controls. Could I please speak to Amy Smith, Mr. Jones's secretary? Then I got to her. And then you speak to Mr. Jones's secretary because you know she's the gatekeeper. Often you don't know who the gatekeeper is, but if you make a call and I would like to speak to Mr. Jones, which is the sales manager, it will divert to the gatekeeper first, if he has one. And then you build a relationship with the gatekeeper because she is the one that's going to get you the appointment, not him. So if it is a house and the husband knows that the wife, he wants to sell, but she doesn't want, then she's the gatekeeper. So it takes maybe 1 or 2 calls to get who the gatekeeper is. Sometimes there isn't a gatekeeper. Sometimes it's just an objection.
I would just like to add, for those of you who are contacting businesses, LinkedIn is a very good source of identifying the gatekeeper, because you can go into the search bar, you can search the company and you see all the people listed for that company, and then it's very easy to find the sales coordinator or the secretary or even the receptionist and find their name through LinkedIn.
And one tip, if you phone a company before 8 o'clock in the morning, say 7:30 or even 7:15, and phone after 5 o'clock, the secretary might have gone, and it's often the manager that will answer the phone anyway.
Is there a specific time you recommend calling entrepreneurs about side hustles? That's the one question. And the other is, what is your opinion about calling on weekends?
Don't. Test it. That's my other option. I don't like to take phone calls, but that's then me personally. But if it's maybe a side hustle, and if you get 10 no's, then you think it's not the right time to do it. I used to call for the estate agent. I used to call in the afternoon at 3, and then only I discovered I get nothing. And then I moved it to 5:30 in the afternoon, and I knew after 7:30 I didn't get any response. So it's also about testing.
So if you are a real estate agent and you are cold calling, then chances are you're cold calling off a list. And then in that instance, the POPI Act says that you can contact somebody once. And during that contact, you ask them for permission. So if they say to you, yes, you can keep in touch with me, then fantastic, you do. If they say to you, I don't want to hear from you again, then you make sure that you don't ever contact them again.
So once again, Nell, my friend, thank you so very much. The synergy with what we do and share on this platform is just phenomenal.